Holy cow, look at all that rubble. That's a mess. What is all that? Hello YouTubers, Jeff, Arizona House Homestead. What was that mess that you saw earlier? That mess was some rubble. That was a project that I did that I didn't like, so I redid it. And I took it out. So I'll show a video clip right about now of what it was, and then I'll show you exactly what I've done different. So I had that stuff underground. I wanted the valves to be underground. I wanted everything to be low to the ground so that I could help protect it from freezing. Plus also I wanted access to that valve so I could turn off the valve and be able to work on either that filter or the pump or whatever. Well, I just didn't like the way it was working out. It just, for whatever reason, I just was uncomfortable with it from day one. So I redid it all. And this that I have now is more like what I envisioned. So let's take a look at what I've done. Here's my water tank. Now I have a little bit of gap right in here. That gap is just enough for me to walk through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some steps basically right in here so that I can get up in here a little easier and be able to fill my tank if I'm not getting enough rain. And as you can tell, I haven't set up my rain gutter system yet. So when I do so, it will go into here, and then that cap that's on there, that is called a gator lock. And those are pretty nice to be able to take a hose and connect it, clamp it, fill, unconnect, and it's waterproof, it's watertight, so it's a pretty cool connection. They're expensive, but they're pretty nice. The guy that I've bought water from in the past uses them, and I like the way that they work out. So anyhow, this, folks, is my pump house. It's unfinished because I don't have any more money to put the siding on. I want to put that corrugated metal on the siding so I don't have to paint it in the future and all that. But at least have the corrugated metal on the roof to help protect that piece of it. So what I did basically was, when I removed all these cinder block, I started filling in everything. And what I did was, the pipe that was down there, I extended it out further. So I dug the hole more before I filled it, and I'll show you what it looks like inside. But then I filled it, and I just put a layer of the cinder block around here to give me a foundation. Now this foundation, I tried to keep it as simple as possible, in that this is a 4x8 sheet, that's a 4x8 sheet, but it's only like 6 feet tall, because you don't need it to be any further than that. I used some corners here to help at least protect the corners, and then in these pieces down here I have a few openings that I'm going to have to fill in. So I've already been able to fill in some, but that one's wide open. And I got my door on the front here. But basically it's just regular OSB and framed up. So now I got two latches, one there. I went with one there. The reason why I've got two is because my experience with wood doors, especially one that's going to be exposed to the elements, they're going to warp and twist and all that on you. That's also why I have 3 hinges on there. So when I open, there, folks, is my pump. If you recall on that video I just showed you, that's the exact same pump. Same setup, just it's moved out. So let me brace this door up a little bit, and we'll go in there, and hopefully the lighting will be good. And I'll show you exactly what I got. Alright, so what I did basically was, on my 2x4, on my plates here, to hook it to this foundation so my wind and storms and all that don't shift this piece, shift this pump house. I went ahead and just put like what I call a J-bolt here, and it goes in here, and I just filled it up with some cement. I didn't cement every one of these, just because I didn't want to spend the extra money on that cement. And so far I've had 50-mile-an-hour winds, and this thing hasn't moved. But I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the side. I got 2 in the back, 2 in the front, and 4 on the other side. So, and I just went every 2 feet for my 2x4s. I doubled them up, one to crease, put one up on top so I can lay this. I put this here. This isn't even nailed or screwed to anything. It's just resting here, but it's to just to help keep the top from sagging. And I got this little light here. It's a Harbor Freight special. That was a solar panel that you saw on the roof there. It's not the greatest of all, but you know, it gives me just enough lighting. It gives me just enough lighting that if I am in here in the dark, it gives me something so I don't trip. So, and I've got some shovels and stuff in the back here just because it fits. So anyhow, right here is my power source. So I have coming from my utility shed where my solar batteries are. This here is a 20 amp line coming. Well, it's a 20 amp breaker that I have set up here, but the cabling that I used was actually 10 gauge, which is 30 amps. And the reason why I kind of upsized everything was because the distance that it would travel, it would reduce the loss, so I can make sure that I didn't reduce too much of a loss. I didn't have too much of a loss. I went ahead and got the extra size. So I got 30 coming in here, and then I've also got 30 going over to what's going to be my washing machine. So on this electrical box, I basically just did a kit. So it is a, what they call a backyard power outlet, 20 amps, and it gives me 4 plugs, and it's GFI, and the box is waterproof and all that. So I went with this because it was a nice kit, had everything together. Now, if you also, I don't know how well it can come out, but up in here there's a green light there. There's also one right over here. That green light tells me I got power. So if for any reason the breaker that's in this switch here or in this outlet goes off, then that's going to turn red, and then I know something's wrong and I can fix it basically. Now if you also notice here, see how on this outlet here, this plug, see how that's not just a straight standard plug? That extra piece that comes out from it, that horizontal piece, that means it's a 20 amp. So if you're looking at a outlet and you can't tell if it's a 15 or 20 amp outlet, that horizontal one that's mixed up with that vertical and this vertical, that tells you that this is a 20 amp outlet. So, and I got the pump hooked up to it. I have the second line coming out, going over to where my washing machine is going to be. This here line goes to my RV. This one here is just an open one right now. I just have a plug on it. Comes out, goes into my pump. I guess I'm going backwards, so it comes out of my pump. This is just a 6-gallon pump. The pressure switch is 20 to 40 psi. So it's not a lot of pressure, but so far it's just enough for me to get by. Now I put a union here just so that it kind of helps me maintain things. If I remove this, then I can isolate this pump and I can do whatever it is I need to with this pump. That unscrews there. Once that's done, I can unscrew this guy here, which then means I can take this apart here if I need to and replace that filter. Right there is the little tool to take off this whole house filter. This is the line that comes from the tank. So this line here originally ended like right over here. So I pushed it out, put it right here, and came up. This piece right here is a check valve. This valve here is just to help control some stuff. And again, I put a union here so that if I need to work on some things, I can. This here, the reason why I have this continuously going up, this eventually is going to go even higher because the height of the pump or height of the tank is like right about here, right about there. So I want this above what the potential water line is going to be. The reason why I have this is because I can turn this water line off, I can open this valve up, and it will help release the pressure of any water that's in here, and then that makes it a little easier to remove some things. This here is also a pressure release, so it unlocks the vacuum of that filter. But I wanted this just so I could potentially use this to help keep it from freezing if I want to be gone and I can't heat the room or something. Then I can open this up, and that will help with the whole freezing process. It gives the water when it expands and it freezes, it gives it a place to travel. I just put that on just because I don't know if I'll ever use it. This guy here, what I did here was I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but down inside there is another valve. That's a new valve I did. So again, as I extended out coming from the pipe, I put that valve in there. That's my main shut-off valve now. It's down in the ground. That's a 6-inch pipe, and then I have a rubber reducer there, just because I couldn't find any other reducer. This pipe here fits perfectly inside, and I can just slide it right down, and then I have this cap. There's also a wire that goes down in there. What that is a temperature gauge. So I can actually see what my temperature has been. It's been as low as 45 degrees down there. And I can reset it if I want. And that's over the last month and a half when I completed this. So what's nice about this is I can gauge how cold it's going to be down there, and since there's no dirt covering this, I know how cold that's going to get. Now I don't have a thermometer in this room yet, but I'm also going to put a thermometer in this room itself, and what that's going to do for me is give me an idea how cold it's going to be, so I can do something to protect these pipes. I'm going to probably use a heat tape or heat wrap. I've partnered with Amazon to bring you guys some amazing deals, so check this out, ArizonaHotHomestead.com/store for some amazing deals. Now back to your video. Put it all over these lines here, and then I can plug it in over there. I thought about a heat lamp, but a heat lamp, the one that I would use would be a 250 watt one that they use for chicks, and that would do a good job. It would warm this room up drastically. However, the amount of watts that's going to use and the amount of watts that the heat tape uses is so much different. So I could reduce my watts that I use and still keep the pipes warm. So when I do that, I'll show that stuff there as well. Now, as we're talking freezing, this room's not insulated yet. Eventually this room will be insulated, but again, I've ran out of money, so until more donations come in to my channel, and I get more viewers and all that stuff, I've just got to deal with this. The heat tape's only going to cost a few dollars, and I can't do both, and the heat tape's more important than that one. So I'm kind of stuck with that right now. But yeah, and this here is just a framework to help hold the filter. And if you notice right here, this guy here is just a back piece for this, but right behind it is a cocoon. That's one of those leopard moths that I see all over the place. So he's going to turn into something. So it'll be cool to see what happens. Thank you for watching my video today, and I appreciate you watching it all the way through there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Every little bit helps support my channel. My name is Jeff, and you've been watching Arizona Hot Homestead.